Start that video. There's this moment when you go out with a woman, whether she's someone you know well or someone you're just dating. It's not a conscious thought, more like a vibe she picks up on. She's wondering, am I taking the lead here? Or is he leading the way? Because let's be real, what really attracts a woman is being with a guy who's strong, dominant, and, masculine. Now, the question is, how do you show that dominant masculine energy? That's what we're diving into today. I want to share with you 5 traits, 5 ways to really show that dominant energy when you're hanging out with a woman. Because let's be honest, that's one of the most attractive things you can put out there for a woman. When I'm chatting with my buddies or explaining this concept to someone who might not quite get it yet, here's the deal: being masculine isn't about fitting into some stereotypical alpha mold. It's not just about looking tough, like a bodybuilder or a biker. I mean, I get it, this can be confusing. I was confused too when I first heard about it, and judging by the comments I get, a lot of guys are in the same boat. Especially when people see some dudes who might seem a bit softer in their facial features. They jump to conclusions, right? They label them as beta instead of alpha males. But here's the real deal: I've seen plenty of guys who look tough, big, with tattoos and everything, but when they're with a woman, they crumble. It's like they turn into little boys, shedding tears into their beer. So being masculine is not just about the exterior. It's not about looking the part, it's about the vibe you throw out there. It's about the mindset you bring to the table, especially when you're dealing with women. Here's another thing I always mention to really drive this point home and paint a clear picture. Think about 2 animals for a second, a kitten and a tiger. Ever wonder why the tiger commands more respect? It's pretty straightforward. The tiger is way harder to tame, harder to control. Now, let's relate this to women. They're not looking for an easily controlled kitten, they want the challenge of a tiger. Something that takes time to tame. So the question is, how do you become that tiger? We're diving into 5 steps, 5 tactics, 5 mindsets for you to start working on when you're around women. But hey, these mindsets aren't just for your dating game, they're solid in business situations too. Whether you're in a work environment or dealing with clients, bosses, everyone, these mindsets project that strong masculine vibe that gets respect across the board. Now, let's talk about the first trait, something crucial: the willingness to walk away. I always say you've got to show that you're willing to walk away. This is a little trick my buddies and I picked up back in college. We used to throw parties at our place, and there was this move we called the walk away. Here's the deal: we cracked early in the night. If there was a girl we were into and we were chatting her up at the party, we found out that our chances of getting her interested skyrocketed if we actually walked away from the conversation after a bit. It's the opposite of what most guys do. They start talking, things are going well, and they feel like they've got to stick around the whole time. They're scared that if they step away, someone else might swoop in and she'll lose interest. But what we discovered was gold. If you're having a good chat and you drop a casual, "Hey, I'm going to catch up with some friends, catch you later," and then reconnect with her later on, it's like magic, her interest level spikes. You've shown you're not going to be hanging on to her all night. You become that tiger, a bit harder to tame, and that, my friend, is the move. So this whole concept of walking away and showing that you're ready to walk away, there are a bunch of ways to pull it off. One simple way is by not showing too much interest or giving your stamp of approval for everything, you know what I mean? A lot of guys, especially when they're with a woman they find attractive, are scared to show disapproval or boredom. It's like they're afraid to let her know if they're not impressed with something she says. Take, for example, if she's telling a story and it's not really up to your standards, maybe she's going on about cheating at something, and the typical nice guy might be like, "Oh, that's so cool," but if you genuinely think it's not cool, you call her out on it. Why? Because it shows her you're not willing to put up with that kind of behavior, that you've got standards and you're ready to walk away if things don't align. Here's the thing: when you're in the dating game with a woman, showing that you're ready to walk away is crucial. A lot of guys hit me with, "She cancels on me every time I try to make plans," or "She never gives a clear answer, always wishy-washy, saying she'll let me know." It's frustrating, right? But here's the deal: you've got to show that willingness to walk away. If you want to know the power of walking away, then watch the video in the description. Now, you might say, should I give her an ultimatum? No, that's not the move. What you do is tell her straight up, look, fleckiness is a real turn-off for me. It was cool hanging out, but I'm not sure this is going to work out, and you actually walk away. At this point, one of two things is going to happen. Either she's going to be like, yeah, good, didn't like that guy and you just saved yourself some time, or she's going to be thinking, wow, this guy isn't putting up with my crap like everyone else, and guess what? She might just start chasing after you. The key is always showing that readiness to walk away. Now, the second thing I want to talk about, and it kind of ties into the first one, is demonstrating boundaries. So what are boundaries? They're like these internal and external rules you set for yourself. Let me break it down. For instance, a woman might have a boundary not to dive into the intimacy zone on the first date, and you've got to respect that. But here's the interesting part: when she lays down that boundary, there's this part of you that actually respects her more. She becomes more desirable because she's not just crumbling and changing her mind based on attraction, right? She's got a strong boundary. Now, as guys, we want to roll with similar vibes, whether it's in our dealings with her or just navigating life in general. Let me give you an example. My phone stays on Do Not Disturb all day because I'm in the zone writing, creating videos like this. Getting texts or calls messes with my focus, you know? So I've set this boundary. Now, what would a typical nice guy do in this scenario? He might get all worried that if he keeps his phone on Do Not Disturb, he'll miss her texts and she won't be into him as much. So he might tweak his boundaries, allowing her messages to come through. But the attractive, masculine move? Just lay it out straight. Hey, during the day, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. If I don't reply right away, I usually check it at lunch and get back to you if needed. Don't think I'm ignoring you, I just don't reply to anybody during the day. And that includes you. Simple and upfront. I had this buddy, John, who was all about shoes off at the door in his house. At first, he'd get a bit jittery when a woman was over, thinking, should I let her keep her shoes on? But then he started stating his boundary, and guess what? Women were actually more attracted to him. Turns out, they respected those boundaries more than he thought. Now, there are other types of boundaries you can roll with. For example, there are periods in my life where I'm up super early. So if you're out on a date, you might just say, hey, I got to get up early tomorrow, so I'm going to call it a night. Instead of dragging it out for that extra shot or more time, it's all about setting those boundaries. And let's think about what women do. I always say dealing with single mums can be one of the most attractive experiences. They've got these boundaries, commitments to their kids, rules they follow, and it makes guys chase them. I've seen it happen, guys chasing single mums because they're not always the center of attention. Most women, not all, but most won't bend these boundaries for a new guy. And that just amps up their attractiveness. You've got to have similar things going on. I have buddies who are into golf, and every Sunday that's their golf day with the crew. Now, when they start dating someone, they lay it out right away. Sundays are golf days with friends, and you can bet women will try to test them. Hey, this Sunday, my friend's having this event, you should come. They want to see if you're willing to give up golf day to join her for a cousin's party or a picnic. It might seem like giving it up shows you're super into her, and initially she might think it's cool, but deep down, she's thinking, I tamed this guy a bit easier than I thought. Remember, she won't want someone who's easy to tame. Now, moving on to the next thing, projecting that masculine vibe. Be willing to say no. I always say the most attractive word you can toss out there to a woman is,